We are doing the Neutron Dance here at NH Unscripted. I am your Pointer Sisters-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the almost YMCA-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. Those are Concord based on your Sony Walkman. 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester. I need to thank my current sponsor, that is Lakes Region Fence. Come on, guys, come on. You know you need a new fence. Look at that chain link monstrosity out there. It's rusty. It was probably galvanized at one point. It's all beat up, falling down in your yard. All your neighbors are making fun of you. Break down. Go to lrfence.com. Spend a little bit of time out there. Hey, get yourself a free estimate. Ooh, free. We like free. Old people like free things, man. Coupons and free. That's what we like. lrfence.com. I mean, seriously, they really do it all. You got a pickleball court you need? They'll do it. They'll fence that in. Your pool? They'll fence that in. Property lines, commercial stuff. Matt and his gang up there do it all. lrfence.com. We appreciate them so much. So much. Well, we have got to talk some more about coffee and cars and capitals and you name it. Alex Stoyle.
You nailed it.
Dang it. Yes. Revel Stoke Coffee is in the house. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
it's good to be back.
Oh, it's good to have you back. Dude, I love your coffee. I mean that.
Thank you.
It was everything you said it would be and more.
Oh my gosh.
I'm used to the 7-Eleven, Irving coffee, you know.
The Cubbies.
The kind where they got to get in there periodic and scrape down the sides of the pot. You know?
99 cents for a 64-ounce cup or something. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the good stuff.
And so I went over and I got a pour over.
I love it.
Which I'm not quite sure how it enhances the coffee.
Do you want me to tell you?
Yes, absolutely.
So a pour over is brewing a cup of coffee to order by hand. So we're able to do all the same things that happen inside of a regular coffee maker, right? We're adding water to coffee.
Yeah.
But we're able to control the time it takes to add the water, how quickly we're adding the water, the temperature of the water. Because we're doing it on demand, we're able to grind that smaller dose of coffee and really perfectly extract it, where in a brewer, you can do a really, really great job, but there's always a slight margin for error that if you do it by hand, we can control every single variable. So if you see someone with a gooseneck kettle and kind of a weird little cone-shaped filter at our counter, and they're usually doing it on a scale too, so you'll actually see someone doing a pour over.
Wait, so you're saying even the water temperature is important?
Yeah. Yeah, we change the water temperature a little bit. It's usually somewhere around 200 degrees Fahrenheit, so not quite boiling, a minute or two off boil. But we have these kettles that you can dial in to the degree what you want. And, basically whenever we pull a new coffee out of the roaster and kind of have determined that that's the one that's going on our shelf, we will work as a team, mostly our GM, Casey, but also a few other folks on the team weigh in, and we taste that coffee in a variety of ways, different temperatures, different grind size, different time of extraction, and we're really trying to dial that in. Now, also, I don't want to scare people away. Like, we also just have coffee with cream and sugar. But this is a pour over is certainly like the most like nerdy and kind of aficionado way to enjoy a cup of fresh coffee.
So I don't know honestly what it does to it, but it all of a sudden added texture and these levels of flavors that were hitting the tongue.
That's great to hear. That's what we're going for.
It wasn't just like, oh, coffee. Yeah. That's what coffee tastes like, coffee.
Yeah.
So I know we need to talk about cars and coffee on Capitol, but I got you here. So let me
Let's
ask
do
you.
it. Yeah.
I love your roaster, and I have questions about your roaster.
Sure.
So explain a little bit about it. It's so new tech. It's unbelievable. It's cutting edge.
Yeah.
So explain. It looks like a washing machine.
It does. It looks kind of like a
just
weird
like it.
big washing machine.
does.
It's got a drum just with a window, just like a washing machine.
Yeah.
I call it the Tesla of coffee roasters. It's, we're applying heat to coffee the same way that an old school cooking coffee over a open fire would do, right? We're all doing the same thing. We're just applying heat to coffee, but this machine takes a lot of the manual process that you have to then repeat over and over and over again and in a very exact way, and it automates that. So it frees up our staff to, once we dial in a roast, we know how to do it. The machine will replicate it. We can step away and talk to people about coffee, which is my favorite thing. We can brew coffee. We can taste coffee. We can spend our time, rather than monitoring a roast and changing gas levels and ventilation, we can step away from that while the machine does it and work on the things that only humans can do.
Is it actually open flame?
No, so that one's it's all electric too. That's why
Okay.
It's the Tesla of coffee roasters. It's kind of unusual. Most coffee roasters do use gas. This particular one uses electricity, which is rare for commercial roasters. And because of that, it's a little bit better for the environment, lower emissions.
But it has a heating element in it?
Yeah, it has a very powerful heating element that heats this drum up to whatever temperature we'd like. And then the green coffee drops into the drum.
Yeah.
The drum is rotating, tossing that coffee, making sure it heats nice and evenly. And then when it's reached our desired temperature, it drops out of that drum into a cooling tray, which rapidly cools it. When it's done cooking, we want it to stop cooking. So we cool it quickly, and then it drops into a bucket. We bag it up. Sometimes those bags are hitting the shelf within 10 minutes of coming out of the
ones that I
roaster.
saw on the shelves, you do those fresh right there?
Right there, yeah. In fact, sometimes I warn people to look at the date on our coffee, because more often than not, our coffee on our shelf is too fresh to drink. You want to let coffee rest for at least a few days, if not even up to 2 weeks before drinking it. Some of the gases that are created in the roast, they're still being released, and they don't taste great. They're not the good part of the coffee, so it's good to let your coffee degas. And so oftentimes, I'm like, if someone grabs a bag, I'm like, make sure you wait a couple days to try that, because that's the biggest. Yeah. So
I would be so ignorant. I would have taken it right home and just opened it right up and made a cup of coffee.
You'd probably be happy, but the coffee's going to be really singing in a week or two.
Wow.
It'll get better.
So are your bags specially designed then to let that off-gassing happen?
Most coffee bags, you'll notice they have that little vent
button
in them.
thing there.
Yeah, a little button. Yeah, and that allows gas to escape.
Oh.
Yep.
When you are purchasing your green beans, do you at Revelstoke, do you have a specific bean that you're looking for, like from a region or a soil, or that you kind of like claim?
Not so. In a couple ways, yes, and in a couple ways, no. Like, we have our espresso blend.
Yeah,
it's always 50% Colombia, 25% Ethiopia, and 25% Brazil. And due to seasonality and crop, we might lose access to that specific Colombia, but rather than have to switch up our whole thing, we're only changing out a component of the blend. So we're able to kind of maintain a consistent flavor without having to change too much at one time. But like when we opened, not one of the coffees that were in that blend are the same as today, and they've been gradually changed out one at a time. The recipe has stayed the same, but we look to keep with seasonality and like the crops that are coming out now. We want the coffee as fresh as possible. So right now we have a new Colombia on the shelf. We have a couple of other, I think another African coffee coming in, a Kenya pretty soon. But we're constantly tasting trying new things and kind of deciding how to keep a balanced menu. We don't want like all Ethiopias or all Colombias. We want to keep, one Colombia, one Ethiopia, something maybe a little bit lighter and more tea-like, something that's really hefty and robust. But my favorite coffee, this is one that we're going to try to keep.
Okay.
We just started canning our own cold brew, and that coffee, just kind of by accident, comes from La Concordia, Mexico, which to me is amazing because it's like Mexican Concord, it's like La Concordia. Yeah. And so I really hope we could keep that one as our like forever cold brew, but it just makes a great cold brew too. So
man, segment 1 down. Are you kidding me? Block A.
We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot.
God, we barely touched the surface. Good grief. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I am your ever happy to be out of bed host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the bonanza-like digs of the WKXL studios. I kind of look like Horse Cartwright, depending on what way I turn. We are talking coffee. We'll be right back in a few minutes with Rebel Stoke. I got a lot of questions. Big wheels keep on turning. NH Unscripted keeps on burning. Yes, I am your Tina Turner host like Ray Dudley. And we are coming to you very, very happily from the Six Flags-like conditions of the WKXL studios in Concord. Gosh, we're having so much fun. We are talking coffee. I love coffee. I love tech. And put the two of them together, and you have Rebel Stoke. It's crazy. Alex, do you, and we will get to the topic that you're here for at some point.
That's good.
But when you say, do you actually create your own blends there? Do you get green beans from different regions and you actually try to create your own in-house blend?
So the only blend we do is our espresso.
Okay.
And that is because espresso really brings out the strongest, craziest flavors out of any coffee. So a blend is a good way to make an espresso a little bit more approachable. Now, we always have a single origin espresso too on bar, but usually those coffees are a little bit more like bold, punchy. Sometimes they can be a lot more acidic. Depends on what we're serving. But so the only blend we ever do is our espresso. Everything else will be a single origin coffee. So
how do you figure that out? And I don't mean to deviate, but
no, let's do it. Yeah.
You have somebody there. What's his name?
Casey's our GM, and he's kind of our. Seriously,
he's not wearing a lab coat, but he does seem to be.
He might as well be. I mean, I tell everyone. I don't think people realize there's other shops around too that have people like this, but I think that Casey has forgotten more about coffee than I know. He's so knowledgeable, and like it's crazy to me that this guy just like is always right downtown Concord, and he's an open book, and like he is a resource for anyone. He's a super friendly guy. So if anyone wants to chat coffee, he's a great. I mean, I ask him all my coffee questions, and we invite you all to do the same. So.
Well, maybe I should have invited him.
he would be upset that I was singing his praises so much. He's a very humble guy, but he really is extremely knowledgeable, and I can scratch the surface with most of this stuff, but he can go really deep. So
tell me how a coffee. Are there coffee green beans that come in flavored? I know you can add some flavoring after they've been cooked, baked,
sure,
roasted.
Yep.
But are there some that are pre-flavored somehow before they get here?
Nothing we would use. I mean, the closest we might get to that idea is the way that the coffee is processed. So when coffee comes off the tree, it's like a little cherry.
Yeah.
And that the bean is actually a seed. And so we have to get that seed out of the fruit before we obviously roast it and brew it.
Right.
And so the way that fruit is removed is what we refer to as the process. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Like a natural processed coffee is actually the fruit is left to dry in the sun. And that drying ferments the fruit a little bit. And it usually imparts a little bit more of like a funky, kind of more unpredictable flavor into the coffee bean itself, where other beans will be washed or run through kind of a wet mill. And that wet mill just kind of scrapes the fruit off quickly, and we're left with probably a more predictable, cleaner kind of flavor.
Yeah.
It'll probably roast a little bit more consistently too. But we do everything. Like one day we'll have something coming in that's washed, and it's an absolutely beautiful cup, and then the next month we'll have, some crazy natural honey processed. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to process coffee and get that fruit off. And there's people coming up with new ways too. There's all kinds of people now using different fruit juices in the processing
to take the outer casing off.
Yeah, and also to impart some flavor. So that would be an example of like kind of adding some flavor, but all in a more natural way than just like your hazelnut. Yeah, it's a very funky way. I mean, there's people experimenting with this stuff, so it's not. And usually those things are really expensive and really small lots. So
the washing machine type roaster that you have.
Yeah.
Did you tell me you can only do 6 pounds at a time?
Yeah, which is a bit of it's probably our biggest challenge right now.
That was where I was going.
Keeping up with demand.
Yeah.
A shop like us, it's big enough for us, but as we grow, it's going to be harder and harder to keep up.
Yeah. So how does that size up? I mean,
so the machine that we use, they don't make a bigger size. So at some point, not this company. Their idea, Bellwether's idea, is really like bringing coffee roasting to the shop rather than like big production, because the big production's well covered and well taken care of. But for like you said, the size of a refrigerator, to be able to roast your own coffee with that footprint.
It's actually not even that big.
No, it's pretty small.
Yeah.
And to be able to do that it's a game changer for a small shop in a rural town that wants to serve high quality, fresh coffee. It's a total game changer it was a game changer for us. So yeah.
I can see where that would certainly be a limiting factor. I mean, if you're doing 6 pounds and they're going onto the shelf and people are buying them, dude, 6 bags, you're done.
And we can a little bit under, but we can do about 6 pounds actually roast down to 5 pounds.
Yeah.
So we lose a little bit to steam, but those 5 pounds, we could do about 3 roasts an hour, so 15 pounds an hour. And on a busy weekend, our shelf that's completely filled with, I don't know, 60 pounds of coffee just gets cleared out.
Yeah,
and so that just to roast that takes us another 4, 5, 6 hours to roast a weekend's worth of just retail coffee. That's not even the coffee we're brewing. So we go through a lot. We're maxing out the roaster pretty quickly.
Dude, and you are in a primo location.
It's a good location, yeah.
Primo location down there, right across the street from the State House.
Yep. We get the farmer's market every weekend.
Ooh, baby.
We get Cars and Coffee and Capitol on the second Sunday of every month. So, yeah.
Okay, good segue. Good segue.
I'm learning.
You didn't learn from me, I'll tell you that. Anyway, Cars and Coffee on Capitol. Did I get that correct?
Yeah, you got it.
All right. So tell me about this, because it's pretty fascinating combination of things happening there. It's not just like cars and coffee. It's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Where did the idea come from?
Yeah.
When did it start? And what kind of, who's coming to it?
Yeah. So, I'll take you back to when we first opened.
We need the way back music.
So when we first opened, I want to emphasize that like we opened Revelstoke more for Concord than for coffee. Like we love coffee. Yeah, I love coffee, but like I didn't know all these things about coffee until we did it. But we knew that we loved Concord, and we knew that this was a beautiful city, and we just saw so much potential here that we love the people, we love the community. So we really wanted to make Concord the place where we wanted to live. So the first step for us was like, what do you want every morning? You want a good cup of coffee. So we opened Revelstoke really for Concord more than for coffee. So our growth plans have been kind of weird because like people have approached us and been like, why don't you open one of these in Portsmouth or in Boston? And I'm not going to say it's never
the entrepreneur in you. Come on.
Yeah, but it's not never going to happen. But like we actually have a lot more interest in like what else can we do in Concord. So one of the things that we always saw was like this hole on Sundays downtown. There's like just nothing going on, and so even for the first few years, we weren't open on Sundays. And after COVID kind of blew through and we kind of settled down a little bit more, about 2 years ago, we decided for the first time that we were going to try to be open on Sundays. And it was explosive. I mean, all of a sudden there was really this little micro economy downtown on Sundays on our end of the street. Now, the Works was always open. There's always some stuff open, but our end of the street was always a ghost town until we opened, and then it was like, oh, stuff happens on Sundays down here. So we started to notice more and more traffic. And then after the first winter of being open Sundays, I kind of realized I'd forgotten that I had always wanted to try to do a Cars and Coffee. It's not a concept I invented. It's something that happens all over the world, usually on Saturdays and Sundays.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a super West Coast thing. Like there's a ton of clubs out on the West Coast that do a Cars and Coffee every weekend or every other weekend. And so my wife and I had always kind of talked about it. And last July, we were like, hey, let's just try this out. I've always been kind of a car guy, and I had a few friends who I knew would show up. So I applied for the permit to the city. I thought that we would close Capitol Street and probably 10 of my friends would show up.
Yeah.
And boy, was I wrong. To be continued.
Ooh, a cliffhanger. My God. Woo. Yes. Big wheels keep on turning. My gosh, you were listening to NH Unscripted. Oh, man, I am your happy to be out of the home host, Ray Dudley. And we are coming to you from the YMCA-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. I can hear him splashing back there somewhere, and I smell the chlorine. We're talking coffee, we're talking cars, we're talking Revelstoke. Alex Stoyle.
Nailed it.
Dang.
You keep
in the
it.
house.
You got it.
I know. We'll be right back. Ooh, I am the devil with the blue dress on. Yes, you are listening to NH Unscripted. I am your Mitch Ryder-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the Disneyland-like digs of the WKXL studios, and happy to be here, I might add. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. They're going to regret giving me a microphone at some point. 101.9 FM for the beautiful people in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. I'll give you a little bit more info later on that. Alex Stoyle is in the house from Revelstoke Coffee, and we are talking cars and coffee and Capitol. How many people? You left us hanging.
I
You
did.
thought maybe you might get 10 people out for Cars and Coffee on Capitol, the first one.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be just me and some of my buddies, and I tried to tell as many of them as possible because I was kind of preparing to be embarrassed. Yeah. Like I thought like, oh my God, people are going to be pissed that I closed the street for me and a few of my friends. Mm-hmm. But to our first show, this was last July, we had completely filled Capitol Street, which we could fit almost 70 cars on Capitol Street. We filled it in under 20 minutes. So all these people just came roaring in. And it was me and my dad just trying to park all these cars, not like just telling them where to park.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, people were walking by, people were taking pictures, people were just excited to be there in their cars, people were excited to have stumbled upon this thing, and very quickly I was kind of like, oh shoot, what did we do here? So the next show. I didn't want to get ahead of myself, so the next show, again, we just shut down Capitol Street, just this one block. And again, we were full in less time, 15 minutes. I mean, it was just so crazy. So the next one, we asked the city if we could close Park Street too, which is on the other side of the State House. And Capitol Street and Park Street, again, both full in less than half an hour. So
Dude, that's impressive.
It's crazy. So we've really accidentally started something that's really cool and beautiful. I mean, fast forward to this April. Last weekend was our first show. And
of this year.
Okay. And our season opener, we do it once a month. And this year we got the city to agree to let us close Park Street and Capitol Street all the way from Main Street to Green Street. For those of you who aren't familiar, that's 2 blocks.
Yep.
And State Street from Center to School Street. So that's 3 blocks. So we all in all can fit about 260 cars in that footprint. We were completely full in half an hour this past weekend.
Man.
So I estimate we had roughly 300 cars, maybe a little over 300 show up for our first show of the season.
World?
And it's just been crazy. So here's my favorite thing about it. You've got these really kids. There's like high school kids, college kids who are passionate, and they are so pumped about whatever car they have. And usually maybe it's a less expensive Japanese car that they pour their heart and soul into. They make it theirs. It's customized, and it's cool. Like they care that it looks so cool.
Yeah.
But it's probably not like the most expensive thing. But they show up, they're excited, they're proud to show it, and there's a real community being built. And the craziest part is they're going to be parked right next to $1 million McLaren.
Wow.
And both of those people are there for the same reason, because they love cars. They hopefully like coffee, but they at least like getting together with people who are like-minded and sharing their passion.
Dude.
And so it's diverse.
Give me the particulars. How are people finding out? How long is the event? Is it just 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours on a Saturday? Or what?
Yeah, I've kind of skipped this. So the second Sunday of every month, we start at 8 a.m. We go to 11 a.m. So it's pretty short. People find it, I think, mostly on Facebook. I just posted on a few different like car show groups on Facebook. And then
they are a rabid group, are they not?
Yeah, it's a bit rabid.
Man, man.
There's real passion. There's real excitement, and it's like it's just fun. It's like, who doesn't like cars? You know, it's just beautiful. It's even, if it's something that someone found in a barn and has been working hard to restore, or if it's something that someone just paid a crazy amount of money for fresh off the lot of a dealership, there's beauty there. And this show is all about just celebrating that beauty and finding the common ground that we all have around automobiles and things that, go vroom. So
where do you think this could go?
I don't know.
I mean, you captured 5 blocks.
It's pretty weird. I really don't think that our regular season shows could be. I think we could make them bigger, but I think that the special part about our show is that the backdrop is this beautiful state house, these beautiful state office buildings, the state library. And so the photos that come out of this event are just gorgeous. Like most car shows are in a parking lot of an old mall or just a Walmart or whatever. And so same idea, same people getting together, but the backdrop of beautiful Concord is what makes this event so cool and so rare. I mean, it's to have this many people able to park on a city street safely and get together and just walk down the middle of the street. It's a really cool, special feeling. And so I think that with cooperation from the city, I've been kind of trying to show them what I think this event could be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get them to let me close Main Street in September for what we're calling the main event. We have a couple of big sponsors lined up for that. I'm just waiting for the permit. And if we can close Main Street, we would be able to do like a citywide car show and really blow out this one weekend in Concord, or this one day, this one Sunday morning in Concord.
So when you say that you want this to be a big event, what do you... I'm captivated. What are you envisioning happening on that day?
So, I mean, the biggest thing is just people coming with their cars. That's the beauty of it. It's like it really takes it takes a village, a proverbial village, to make this event happen. And it's that people are going to come, show up, park their car, and be excited to not only show their car off, but also look around at other cars. And again, my kind of mantra is, if you're proud to show it, we'd love to see it. And it could be something that is a weird, inexpensive, custom, just your little baby, your project, or it could be something that is like, I mean, we had a Porsche show up to our first show last weekend. That was a 1 in 150 car in the world, a very, very special, it's called a GT3 RS for you car nerds at home. This thing is an incredibly, incredibly special and rare car that a collector, I think, down in southern New Hampshire brought. And just this car is a showstopper. I mean, people were drooling over this thing. And the coolest part is it's parked next to something that's not as crazy or as rare, but has the same passion of, an old Volkswagen or an old Chevy or like whatever it is. I find beauty in all of it, and I think a lot of people do. So it's about sharing that passion and just coming together and finding the common ground.
Wow. Is Revelstoke providing coffee for all that?
So we actually customized this year, kind of because of Cars and Coffee, we customized it's called a K-van. It's a little Japanese like micro van.
Yeah.
It's smaller than a modern day Mini Cooper.
What?
And it's
they're pretty small.
They're pretty small. This thing it's really cool. It's right-hand drive. It's got a 660cc engine, which is smaller than most motorcycles. And we serve coffee out of the back of the van for Cars and Coffee. It's really fun. I'll show you a picture.
That is brilliant.
Can you flash a picture up for the radio listeners? I don't know. But it's really funny. If you look on Revelstoke's Instagram, you'll see it pretty heavily featured right now.
Wow.
And also we have Teeny Weenie's food truck. This guy in Concord, he makes his own sausage, and he's doing all breakfast sandwiches out of the food truck.
So wow.
Really, really good. Riley at Teeny Weenie's is doing a phenomenal job. So definitely come down and check that out too.
I meant to ask you about the back to the restaurant just for a second.
Okay.
Do you serve food there?
We do.
You do?
We do. We keep it very simple and thoughtful. Most days when they're open, we have Brothers Donuts out of Franklin, which are like New Hampshire legend donuts. I think we're the only place in Concord serving them at this point, and they're really good. We got a fresh delivery.
We'll have to beep that out so nobody hears the name, so that they don't get the same idea, so that we don't want competition.
It's all right. I mean, we're it's all good. But Brothers Donuts, fantastic. I
have heard of them.
The crew up there does a really good job. They're a legend.
And they bring them down here just for you every day?
Yeah, they have a delivery route, so they do deliver to some places. I think down in Manchester and even further south. But they're not open every day, but every day they're open, we get a delivery.
Man, oh man, oh man.
And then well, I think I can fit it in. We also serve these little breakfast sandwich-like things called Chubbies. The outside's like a bagel, and they're filled with an egg scramble. And I'm not kidding, they are like the best hot breakfast you can get in the state. They're phenomenal. They're so good.
Man, we are blaming it on the nights on Broadway. Yes, we're a gold mine here at NH Unscripted. I am your getting chubbier by the minute host, Ray Dudley, now that we bring that up. You are listening to us at 1450 AM 103.9 FM in Concord, or perhaps you're in Manchester. That would be 101.9 FM. Or hey, maybe you found the URL, nhtalkradio.com. We're talking cars, coffee. We'll be back. Yeah, it's me and Julio down in the schoolyard. Yeah, well, it's me and Alex. We are talking coffee and cars on NH Unscripted. I am your coffee-addicted host. Yeah, I'm proud of it. Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the Hollywood Squares-like digs of the WKXL studios. I like the center square. You can find us at 1450 AM 103.9 FM Concord, 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls of Manchester. God, we love you folks down there. NHTalkRadio.com is the URL. There's a link out there where you can stream live. You can hear everything that's going on here. And there's also archives of this show and all of the other great programs that take place here at the studio. Alex Stoyle from Revelstoke Coffee is in the house. Right across the street from the Capitol. Man, they have... Dude, that's a gold mine over there.
Our view is incredible.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Out our window, it's like the only thing you could see is the gold dome. It's beautiful.
You're lucky they don't charge you a view tax like they do for
I
the
think
rest
our
of
landlords do somehow. I think they squeeze it in.
Buried in the fee.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us some information, the contact information or whatever for the Cars and Coffee on Capitol?
Yes.
And that's correct. There are no articles. They didn't say the and or
No, you nailed it. Yeah. Cars and Coffee on Capitol. Again, that's why, because we started on Capitol Street. And it's just kind of like always happening on Capitol grounds. So you could find us on Instagram at Cars Coffee Capitol. That's the best way to get in touch. We also do have a website. It's oncapitol.com. Super simple, oncapitol.com. And again, we do it the second Sunday of every month. So if you forget everything else, remember this: the second Sunday of every month from 8 to 11. Show is completely free. There's no reservations. There's no registration.
Really?
We don't take any information. We just show up with your car. There is no charge at all.
What?
Always free. So yep.
They just show up.
Just show up, yeah.
Dang,
and so that's been the other surprising thing. We've never really had an idea of how many people are coming, and it's always just kind of been a pleasant surprise that it's full. So,
wow. Well.
Yep.
What's the rarest car you've seen there, or the craziest thing that you said? McLaren, was there?
I think at our last show there was 5 or 6 McLarens.
What?
Always a few Lamborghinis. There was a Ferrari at the last show that was really gorgeous. I mean, this thing was beautiful. I try as a rule of thumb not to learn too much about things I can't afford. So a lot of the times I just try to I just admire the beauty, but I try not to learn too much, names and stuff. So, but this Ferrari had these carbon fiber rims on it, which I think the rims alone cost more than most people's cars. I mean, the beautiful. But again, I think one of my favorite cars from the last show was it was like a normal, I think it was a Jetta, and this kid had lifted the whole thing and put a snorkel on it and then put the exhaust pipes coming up through the rear fenders. It was like a wild, like, custom car.
Mother God.
So, and this isn't an expensive car. It's not a rare car, but it was just this guy's vision.
Yeah.
I love so many of the cars that show up for all different reasons. Someone showed up at the last show with a Mitsubishi Delica, which is a funny, like, minivan from Japan. Okay. And it's a right-hand drive like mine. And I really had a soft spot for his car. So it's like totally driven by passion and not price. It's fun. And people who don't have that same attitude won't come back, and but there's so many people who show up and just love that community aspect of it. So it's very fun.
First come, first serve as far as where to put your car.
First come, first serve.
Is there more of a better place you think to showcase your car around there? That
there are places that people prefer. Like anytime you can get one of the spaces where you can see the gold dome in a photo of your car, like right behind it. Those are kind of the ones that are at a premium. But again, like, it's first come, first serve. Wow. We try to fill it up in order. So whoever comes first gets these spots. And we don't necessarily fill up the best spots first either. It's kind of luck of the draw. Like, we try to fill up the most difficult spots first, so that when traffic really starts coming in, we can just kind of easily park the rest. So
you find anybody parking there who shouldn't? Hey, get that piece of junk out of here!
Like I said, if you're proud to show it, there have been some people who didn't notice our no parking signs, and they'll show up kind of like an hour into the show to move their car, and they didn't mean to, and they'll just kind of be like, "What's going on?" And they have to move their whatever it is out of the way.
Are you getting a lot of foot traffic that people show up?
Yeah, a ton. Again, these are all estimates. It's hard to count because there's so many entrances and exits to the show for foot traffic. But I think my estimate for our last show was 300 cars, and over 1,000 people. I mean, it was very, very busy.
Man,
at Revelstoke already are really busy on Sundays, but we experience like a 5 to 10% bump in sales in those hours. And I'd say more than half of the people down there have cups from the Works or Teetotaler or some of the other shops that are open.
There's competition?
Yeah, well, it's not competition. It's a rising tide raising all ships in this town. And the way we see it is like people don't go to Boston or New York because there's one coffee shop. They go there because there's a lot of options. There's a lot to choose from. There's a little surprise around every corner. And so that's our vision for Concord, is like what we can be, not necessarily what we are today. But
so your vision for Revelstoke itself in Concord, I know you had mentioned that people are like, you should be out of Portsmouth and you should be in wherever, Manchester.
Yeah.
But you said you have a real affinity for Concord.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of expanding in Concord, or are you just happy at that one place?
We are. Yeah. We have already purchased a building downtown that we're planning a second location in.
News.
And a couple of other exciting things in that building too. So
wow.
Yeah.
So when do you anticipate that happening?
That project is being measured in years right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts, and this next project for us is a way bigger project than anything we've done before. So
really?
we're learning and figuring it out. But I mean, buying a building in downtown Concord with all of the, not only, the stuff that's obvious, like you have to renovate the building, it needed to be gutted, it's a whole thing, but also you've got new things to, take into consideration, like how you're going to work with your neighbors and the city and make sure that everything is smooth. So we're learning a lot.
Got a lot of hats to put on there, baby. It's no longer just roasting coffee.
I thought when we bought it that I was going to end up doing, like when we built Revelstoke, I did all the work. I put on my hard hat and got my hammer and I hammered every nail. My dad and I basically. And this project, I kind of thought it was going to be the same, and it's becoming pretty clear that I'm going to need some help.
Oh my God.
So, but it's good. You might know the building. It's the old lighting place on Pleasant Street Extension.
Yes.
It's a kind of a famous building. It's had a few owners in the last decade or two, and we were fortunate enough to stumble into the guy before he listed it. And
so you don't mind being that close to your original place? Are you going to close the original place?
No, we're going to keep it open.
We
see it as a different market, and we're going to try to do enough unique things in that space that will keep them separate. Like we're not going to serve any of the same food we serve at our current location at this new one. The new one will be more driven by higher quality food, more food options, more of a breakfast and lunch place. And then this building has a beautiful basement. So the current plan is that we're going to open a bar in the basement too.
You are aggressive.
We would love to not have to do the bar ourselves. If anyone out there has a dream of opening a bar, we've been looking, but we know that whatever happens in the basement is really gonna reflect on Revelstoke. So we want to make sure that it's a good match for us. We've been kind of we're still in the dreaming and ideas phase, but we're figuring it out. So
mother of God. So it was the old lighting building, but now it's going to be, you need a kitchen, obviously.
Yeah, full kitchen.
Yeah. Chef, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we'll have probably at least a chef to start out, and whether or not that's someone who stays or if they're just someone who helps us develop some core recipes that we can then train people. And I mean, that's how Revelstoke's always been, is like not every person needs to start off being like our GM, very knowledgeable. We can teach people and train people and create people who want to be specialty coffee professionals. So we see the same thing in the other space too, whether it's coffee or whether it's higher end thoughtful food. So
as you look at the square footage of your current place, do you like that size? It's very intimate.
Yeah, the one thing that I would say is our biggest weakness is we don't have enough seats. For how many people we have in there, we are almost always relatively at capacity. But I always tell people if they walk in and they're scared, give it like 3 minutes, because we have a ton of turnover. People are always coming and going, so the seats might be full and then they're empty. So
Revelstoke Coffee is in the house. They're from downtown Concord. Throw the URL real quick, Alex.
RevelstokeCoffee.com. Simple as that.
You have been listening to NH Unscripted. I am your coffee-addicted host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the YMCA-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. I'm very happy and proud to be doing it. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. That's on your Sony Walkmans. 101.9 FM for the beautiful folks in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Nice job.
This was awesome.
Nice job, baby. See you next time.